Hi, everyone. This is Danny Herron, Business Development Manager for Strategic Communications, and welcome to our latest episode of Tech This. I have with me guest Brian Emond, Sales Engineering Director for the Eastern U.S. and Public Sector from LogRhythm. Great to have you on, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
Brian, I wanted to, give our viewers a brief overview of LogRhythm from your perspective. Can you take our viewers through who LogRhythm is and what is it that you do?
Yeah, so happy to do so. LogRhythm is at its heart is a SIEM organization. We've been around for almost 2 decades now, close to 20 years, and been an industry leader in that space for the majority of that time. As a company, we have just north of 4,000 customers, I believe. We are a global presence, offices headquartered out of Boulder, Colorado, but offices around the globe. As a company, I feel like our company mission is to protect the world from cyber threats. Kind of a lofty statement there, but it's one that we take seriously and we take to heart. Our customers need the help, and their customers need the help.
Absolutely, and cybersecurity has been top of mind in the news for a couple of years now. Going into 2020, the attacks on Pfizer and BioNTech, the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack in 2021, and the baking industry, their attacks, cyber attacks have been up for them over 1,300% the first half of 2021. What's your perspective on these attacks, and why do they occur, and how can they be prevented?
Yeah, man. I believe all the examples that you gave there span across many different verticals, right? The problem isn't kind of isolated to one, and on top of that, it's not slowing down because it's proven itself over many years now to be pretty lucrative, right? So those malicious players are just going to continue to find their way to get into organizations' data, whether it's valuable information that can be sold offline, or just damaging to the organization in itself. There's a lot of different motives that they could have, and there's really no slowing it down, which leans into the security industry and what we can do about it, right?
Right. We see the Central Information Security Agency, or CISA, for the federal government, in charge of securing all the agency's security posture, improving all the federal agency security posture. They have been approved for a funding of $865 million for endpoint protection and response, multi-factor authentication, securing cloud systems, and improving logging. How would a SIEM solution help CISA or any other agency looking to improve their security posture for those elements?
Yeah. So big dollars there, right?
Absolutely.
And organizations all over the place are validating the idea of spending that kind of money, maybe not that much money, but that kind of money as an investment into just protecting themselves or their customers. So it's being taken very seriously. We're looking for as many ways as we can protect ourselves as possible, and a SIEM is definitely one of those ways. When we look at and consider security postures, many times SIEM is kind of at the heart of that. It's the foundation, and the reason being is it's really kind of the vigilance tool, right? It takes a feed from really anything that generates activity logs in the environment, which that continues to grow. We can gain visibility into just about anything. Um, On-prem log sources, cloud resources, SaaS resources, virtual resources, you name it. We can gain insight into what is happening and how those are behaving. And once we have all of that, located in a centralized location, now we can begin to ask questions of that data, right?
Right.
So, what is typical, what is normal, what is abnormal, what if any, where are the triggers to begin an investigation and get a leg up on malicious actors?
For our for our viewers, Brian, can you take us through what exactly a SIEM is? How does a SIEM work? And really, what are the benefits for IT security teams to leverage a SIEM as their security foundation?
Sure. Yeah. So expand on that a little bit. I think a SIM at the heart is aggregating the logs from the environment, right? Challenge in the past was the fact that all of these different log sources, these data feeds were segmented, right? They were distributed. So if you were the analyst responsible for having holistic visibility and protecting your environment, it was very challenging. And nowadays, when we easily see organizations creating billions of logs per day, it's non-existent and not feasible to ask that of somebody to bounce around and do it for you. So aggregating all of those into a single place, and then having the capability to ask questions of that data, not in a manual way. We want to be flexible enough for an analyst to do their own threat hunting for sure, but with that billions of logs per day, that volume coming in, you need the tool to work for you. So it's the SIM that is looking for patterns or behaviors or deviations from normal, and alerting you in real time, or at least understanding that something's a little off and
Right.
building upon it. So that's kind of the heart of a SIM. The definition of a SIM has changed over the years. SIM is, for most organizations, is asked to do a lot now. It's only increased, what the expectations are. So most recently, we're looking at, we talk about signature-based analytics. These are known bad behaviors from that history has taught us in sometimes hard lessons. We want to keep our eyes on those. At the same time, the newer way of looking at things is behavioral analytics, right? Machine learning, modeling of the activity that we see to understand what typical activity looks like, what is normal, and that helps us to determine deviations. Somebody's acting differently, or a host is acting differently.
Right. That
Um,
has
yeah,
that has a lot of applications too, with behavioral analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, kind of integrating into a SIEM environment, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're going to give you. It's just another way to be watchful, right? If you're looking for patterns, great. If you're able to understand dynamically what normal is, now you can identify new patterns. So it's a critical piece to the puzzle. Another thing that we've seen, be incorporated into SIMs is just more automation. At scale, I need the resources on my security team to actually do the job, right? And there's a
Right.
lot to do in many cases. So I need the tool to integrate with other tools that I have in play, other investments that I have made as an organization, tap into those, have visibility, but also leverage the actions that those technologies can do. So endpoint's a good example there. They're able on the host to do many, many things that a SOAR, even though we're centralized, um, we're not able to do those actions. So the integration there is really critical.
When we talk about next generation SIEMs, you discussed earlier, SIEMs are changing all the time and they're always evolving. And now LogRhythm has their next generation SIEM. How does LogRhythm SIEM or next generation SIEM revolutionize the foundation for SIEM and the overall security posture for IT?
Yeah, I think as we look at it, we look at the industry just at a very high level. There's a few different players in the SIM industry, and they come from different origins, right? So there are technologies that are very capable, and you can do a lot with them. But usually those technologies, you need the resources, the dollars, the manpower, the skill sets to really get those things humming and producing, at what you need. So there's a challenge there. On the flip side of that coin, there's other players that have leaned hard into the ease of use, arguably maybe too hard at some times, where we're limiting the visibility at that point, and we're
Right.
restricting kind of feature functionality for the analyst to do an effective investigation. So get to your revolutionary question there, but LogRhythm, on that scale, LogRhythm tries to sit in the middle, and we really always have. So um, we're not looking for rocket scientists to be on staff to execute or administer the technology. We want to come out of the box and be very intuitive and have a lot of content that is pre-built for our customers that they can leverage. So it's not on them to create what they need. Um, and then I think, that coupled with LogRhythm is pretty unique in that we have a SOAR capabilities, which is your security orchestration and automation,
Okay.
um, baked into our product, baked into SIM. So many of those technologies are kind of standalone in the industry right now. Ours is embedded. And what that gives us and our customers is the ability to not only alarm or identify behaviors, but also track them through a case management system, have pre-built playbooks that you can follow, and make sure you don't miss a step in your incident response process. And also all the automations that we've been talking about, the integrations with other technologies that when appropriate, when the playbook dictates, go ahead and execute those automations and respond accordingly, as quickly as you can. Um, so, as far as revolutionizing, I think that's probably where it lies, where the real ROI is a solution that provides as much as it possibly can in terms of help for the organization, um, and then really allows them to realize their ROI.
That's really fascinating because you mentioned SOAR and how it's baked into LogRhythm SIEM. That seems to be, for me, the way to go when it comes to deterring upcoming cyber threats. Cyber threats are always evolving. They're always changing. Um, New tactics are being created, baked in every day to different platforms to attack different platforms and different technologies. So, how do you see SIEMs, specifically LogRhythm SIEM, uh, evolving to deter those upcoming cyber threats?
Yeah, it's a great question. So nobody wants to be caught off guard, right? And our adversaries know that we are being vigilant, and we will pick up on patterns if they repeat themselves, right?
Right.
So a lot of the new and upcoming cyber threats are going to be those 0 days. They're going to be net new to your analytics and to your security posture in general. Um, so there's a couple of pieces to that. One is ensuring that you're as vigilant as possible. that sounds very, very basic, but from a SIM perspective, there's a lot of decisions that go into, um, you know, full visibility of the organization, right? All the log sources that you have, whether they exist on-prem or in the cloud, make sure you don't have any blind spots,
Right.
um, once we have full visibility, um, then the way that we can go about it is really to understand and create models around what is typical, right? Almost an understanding of good or normal in the environment. Um, that really, I think, is going to be the first indicator in most cases of a new threat. Something will be a little off that we can pick up on. It's the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
But if we're vigilant and we're actively monitoring, we know how these hosts and these users should be behaving. Um, then we'll notice that needle. Um, and then it's up to, like you mentioned, it's up to our incident response process, our playbooks, our automations to respond as quickly as possible. We at LogRhythm we measure mean time to detect and mean time to respond, which is also it's in the product, and you can visually see the time frames that it takes you to execute on your incident response process, how long it took you from start to finish to detect, and from there, how long did it take you to ultimately respond and close it out. Um, we do that because obviously those are good models to keep in mind along the way, but it's a way for our customers to make sure that they're getting better, right? Is there better playbooks that we could take advantage of, or is this a slower playbook that could be more efficient? Is there automation that slowed us down in response that we're not leveraging, which we should? So long-winded answer there maybe, but I think it all plays into what we need to do to make sure that we're secure for new cyber threats.
Absolutely, and that's a great answer. Great content, great clarity on on that question. Um, Wanted to ask you as well from an end user perspective, what cyber threats are out there that I might not be aware of, or your typical end user might not be aware of, that hasn't been really talked about in the news or really been made mainstream.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know that there's a silver bullet like Big Bang there.
Yeah,
Some of the ones that are pretty prevalent, your ransomwares are still getting a ton of people, right? And it's a bang word that makes the news all the time, and us security vendors love to use the big bang words. But honestly, it's as popular as it is because it's still working, right?
right.
So phishing attempts, ransomware, those are still the big hitters. They've been around for a long time. Yes, we absolutely want to look for the latest and greatest and the new. But as from my view, looking out at the industry, I think it's just being sharper and better about the threats that we actually know about.
Well, Brian, I'd like to thank you for being on this episode of Tech This. It was definitely valuable content, and I learned a lot about SIEMs, SOARs, and security posture in general. So, definitely like to thank you for being on this episode. And for more information on LogRhythm's next generation SIEM solution, please visit www.yourstrategic.com/contact us to speak with one of our cybersecurity experts. Until next time, see you.
Good stuff. Thank you, Danny.